Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first day of National Library Week. We just want to welcome you and thank you for coming. I'm just going to give a quick review, and each day we'll start a few minutes before 10 after, just because we have some other activities each day. Today, Roxie Yonkey is going to talk to us about a guide to the weird, wonderful, and obscure things about Kansas. And if you don't know Roxie, she and her husband have been active with Western Plains Art Associations, and she's written 3 or 4 other books, which you'll see. But she's a local, she's some good one. And then on Wednesday, CCC Library Director Tara Schreier is going to talk about, they're going to talk on 3 books about adoption and the industry of stealing children in the last century. That ought to be really interesting. So she says it's more of a discussion subject than it is just the books, but you'll learn about 3 books. And then on Thursday, we have Bill Nix coming, and he's presenting Dr. James Naismith, who invented basketball. So he's going to do a presentation for us. On Wednesday, before Tara Schreier speaks, we're going to have the presentation of the Friends, your annual meeting, so that you guys get to hear what the Friends is doing. Many of you are Friends members, and we just thought it would be a good way to report to you. And then on Thursday, we're going to have what we call community conversations. We're looking at redesigning the library, either inside or expanding. We just kind of want to hear from you and talk to you and see what you guys are thinking. So that's Thursday after Book for Lunch. So come have lunch, hear a speaker or presenter, and then stay with us and give us some ideas and thoughts, and fill out a survey for us, or take it home and fill it out and bring it back. But you guys are really important users of the library, so we want you to be have some input, okay? And that'll be on Thursday at 1:30. So you do have a chance to get up, go to the bathroom, and come back, okay? And then on Saturday, we don't have any more tickets to sell, so don't ask. But we are having our murder mystery. Don't forget, if you have tickets, to come in on Saturday. And the doors open upstairs at 6, and then these doors here will open at 6:15, and then we'll serve dinner at 6:30. Okay, so figure 6 o'clock. Okay, and then save the date. Summer reading for children and teens and adults begins May 26th. Okay, so that's when you can sign up to do summer reading books, logging them. You can do our bingo games, or our tic-tac-toe, whatever Alicia is putting together for us, okay? And then then we take a break. If you don't know, we take a break. And then we come back in September and start Book for Lunch again. And in September, we have Michael Stewart, and he's a Kansas author from, I think, Topeka, now that if I remember right. His book is The Hills Be Shaken, and so he's going to come. He's probably in his 30s. He's going to come and talk to us about the book. And then on, forget that, that's October. I have to edit, okay? Marla Matkins, she did a presentation last year about women, you know, on the Santa Fe Trail. Well, she's written a children's book about dinosaurs. And so she is going to tell us all about dinosaurs. And it's not her, she's going to do it as an adult to adults. So we're going to learn some things that she learned and are fascinating. And Judy said that her presentation is really good, and that'll be in October. So just, know that we've got some things planned coming up. And we still have our ESL class if you know somebody who needs to learn English. And then that's it. So I'm going to unplug. I'm going to invite Roxie to come, and we're going to turn her computer on and turn mine off and turn the speaker on, and we'll get busy.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Actually, that is the title of one of the And yes, they call them in my books. Each one of these is a short little art, perfect for bathroom reading, which is kind of dangerous. But while we're doing the technical thing, if you want to get my newsletter, I promise I do not send spam. I do not sell you to anybody because I hate that myself. I'm not going to do anything to people that I have done to me. But I will tell you who my schedule are, what I've written lately, whatever is kind of going on is Roxie, the world of Roxie on the road. And the more people I get in my newsletter, the more advertisers and other people will give me money. Give me money. Okay, so find where I'm not standing in front of the projector. There we go.
We can move the table over a little bit if you want, maybe. And make it go backwards. There.
Oh, there we go. I think we're good.
You want one camera?
Oh, where's the camera? Scary. So welcome to the world of secret Kansas. Remember there was a secret. It really does have a book. And you'll be lining up to buy it. But first, this is the 150th anniversary of Home on the Range. Christopher Higley had lived a rather rough life before he came to Kansas. And that's him there. And he was sitting outside his little cabin north of April, Kansas, almost into Nebraska, and he wrote Home on the Range, except that it did not start out as Home on the Range. So, in honor of our state song's 150th, we're going to sing it. You got your pipes?
Yeah.
Go give me a home. There's so long in summer, I just will love you. How often at night, when the heavens, when the light burns, I just live here on. There's no longing, I just will run. So this is the actual little teeny tiny little cabin that where he wrote it shortly after its restoration. Kansas named it the state song this week in 1947. And if you want to learn more, you can use the little QR code and read it at roxyontheroad.com/home-on degree. So first, we're going to play a little bit of Kansas trivia. And whoever wins the game, will be 2 rounds, 5 questions each, wins that compact Wofford water. So each question has 4 potential answers. Please do not say the correct answer until I reveal it. keeps track of your score to win the prize. So, which John Denver song mentions Colby? Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John? Well, I can't resist, right? John Denver released the song Matthew on his 1974 album Back Home Again. Oddly enough, it did not chart, except here, of course. Who is Thomas County named for? George Thomas. Now, don't give away the answer. Leilani Thomas, Richard Thomas. General George Thomas won the Civil War battles in Chickamauga and Missionary. So I used to live in there. When I moved here, like, I know these streets. The Chickamauga, Missionary Ridge. I think there's another one that's. Yeah, Franklin and National. That's right. And the townships are named for people who fought in that battle as well. Where was the final Kansas County seat battle? Now, don't tell people. Rollins County, Lane County, Clark County, Logan County. Oakley wrested the Logan County seat from Russell Springs in 1963. After nearly 3 years of court battles. At least nobody got shot. Where is the world's largest painting on an easel? I don't know anybody. Colby, Goodland, Haven, or Jetmore. 3 sunflowers in a vase on Goodland stand behind the replica of Vincent Van Gogh's masterpiece. Okay, it's that time of year when the government wants your money. So let's talk taxes. Oh yeah, I'm the tax man. So Ulysses is the ultimate tax crooked. Back in the day. So if you go towards Ulysses, you see that team of horses pulling a bank. Okay, that's kind of weird. So why is this happening? Many Kansas counties warred over county seat status, but only one, Grant County, moved its seat to avoid taxes. I have since learned that actually Greensburg did the same thing. So that is not quite true. Ulysses' promoters had approved $36,000 in bonds to ensure that it would become a county seat. That's over $85 million in 2022. The leftover funds built a courthouse in a flimsy school. In 1888, Ulysses won the county seat prize over Appomattox. So Grant County is very about General Grant, so Ulysses and Appomattox where they surrendered and all of that. The promoters had founded Ulysses in boom times, but booms, as we know in Kansas, often turn busts. So it was in Grant County. By 1900, 2/3 of the population had fled. The last bank closed in October 1894, and no one opened another for over a decade. Now, what does that tell you about the state of the economy in Grant County? No one collected taxes, therefore no one was paying the bonds. Then in 1908, when Ulysses had only 100 residents, the bonds came due. The city's debt had more than doubled, and the court ruled that the citizens must pay. Now, most of these people had not lived there when Ulysses agreed to these bonds. Consequently, city property taxes skyrocketed 600%. And personal property taxes jumped 362%. You know, you can just hear it, vote them out, vote them out. After a year of these terrible taxes, citizens started the ultimate tax protest. They bought a quarter of land 3 miles away out of the school district and surveyed it for a new town site. Then in February 1909, they started moving their city's architecture. Citizens loaded their buildings onto wagons and skids, carving the bulkiest structures, including the hotel. So there it is. Each hotel section required 60 horses. You know, this had to be quite a show. And it kind of makes me think of when the museum moved in that big barn and how we all lined the road to see it. Well, imagine 60 horses and here comes this hotel. 3 months later, the citizens had left the bondholders with only the land they had purchased, except for the courthouse and school, because that had changed as well. Imagine the bondholders' distress when they knew the rest of the town had absconded. In November, the new city became the county seat. Only a sculptured silhouette of horses pulling a bank across the plains marks Ulysses. And the hotel, the center section, is now a part of the Adobe House Museum in Ulysses. Now here we come to Colby. So I thought it was very appropriate that I was going to be here at tax season. Jeff Hornacher told me that you actually used to have license plate frames that said a taxless town, and people bragged about how you lived in Colby, you didn't have to pay city tax. Well, I tell you what, that's not the reality. So how did Colby avoid taxing its citizens for nearly 2 decades? I mean, this is in the category of wouldn't it be done? On October 22nd, 1909, engineers told the Colby Commercial Club that installing city water and power would cost $45,000. The city council scheduled a bond election for early January. Colby Tribune supported the project. The paper devoted its entire front page and part of the back page to the election. The editor predicted that Colby would vote against the bonds. We think it will be a big mistake, he said. The newspaper interviewed anonymous citizens. One doubted Colby had anyone competent to cope with waterworks. Oops. A week later, the paper was more optimistic. I think somebody had, from experience as being a former newspaper person, I think someone had come in there into the office and said, hey, we feel that the better judgment of our citizens will prevail. Male citizens approved the bond 189 to 44. But we was a lot smaller then. Women could not vote in bond elections for another 2 years. The utility staff rapidly disproved their critics. Colby's power requirements expanded quickly, and the city had to upgrade. The city installed 2 more engines in 1921. The new engines enabled Colby to supply the Thomas County communities of Brewster, Levan, Frankfurt, and Selden. The power plant recouped all its investments, and sales continued to grow. City coffers grew too. To manage the surplus, the city cut rates. I mean, what a deal. So there's all the power lines. I want to thank Kansas Memory for their incredible trove of Kansas pictures. In 1928, Colby City Council waived the city taxes for all its citizens. As a result, citizens' overall tax burden dropped 48%, even with state and national taxes. The waiver lasted until the 1940s. Unfortunately, all good things must end. Central Kansas Power, CKP, of Hayes built better Colby Public Power Plant in 1945. Consequently, the other Thomas County communities switched to CKP. Even so, the city of Colby tried to extend the tax-free times. When their power plant needed new engines, the city issued bonds rather than taxing the citizens. However, the competition finally required the city to assess taxes. Now, I want to know how long did it take before everybody got rid of the taxes now, license plates free? The city managed to stay tax-free throughout the Great Depression. When the municipality needed a new city hall, it received funds from the Works Progress Administration and the WPA workers quarrying exterior limestone south of Monument. So now, continuing with the tax theme, we're going to welcome to the jungle. We're going to go way southeast Kansas, where politics are a bit different than they are here. So how did a Kansas publisher spawn the FDA, or Food and Drug Administration, and encourage reading? Kansas has a conservative reputation, but sometimes the citizens defy expectations. At one time, Gerard published the socialist newspaper and appealed to reason. Their presses later produced the Little Blue Books. J.A. Wayland brought the newspaper to Gerard in 1897. By 1913, its circulation had topped 750,000. Special editions sold millions of copies. Its clout attracted luminaries like Jack London, Helen Keller, Mary Harris' mother, Jones, and presidential candidate Eugene Debs. Co-editor Fred Warren commissioned Upton Sinclair's classic novel, The Jungle, which I studied when I was in high school. First, the newspaper serialized the story, but the response was poor. I mean, can you believe this? This earth-shaking book, and at first it was like, eh. The Appeal canceled the series, but the revised book became a hit in 1906. Sinclair's story about Chicago meatpacking plants disgusted the nation, including President Theodore Roosevelt. How many of you have read this book? Several people. And to graphically describe the conditions in meatpacking plants. And it was unbelievably disgusting. As a result, Roosevelt pushed Congress to pass the Food and Drug Act, the foundation for the Food and Drug Administration. Sinclair had hoped to highlight workers' plight, but instead he had improved their food safety. I aimed at the public's heart and hit it in its stomach. The book enriched Sinclair, but the Appeal staff suffered. Woodrow Wilson's administration repressed socialism and circulation plummeted. He didn't want to, Wilson administration, he didn't want to be caught prescribing the Appeal to reason. The FBI would come after you. Then Wayland's wife died. The Appeal could no longer navigate the commercial jungle, or so Wayland believed. He committed suicide, and Warren resigned soon after. Then Emmanuel Haldeman Julius and his wife Marcette bought the paper. The new owner pivoted to book publishing with a twist. There are 3.5 by 5-inch little blue books produced on cheap paper. Initially cost 25 cents, but eventually sold for a nickel. And there he is. There's Emmanuel Haldeman Julius. So he was Emmanuel Haldeman, and his wife was named Marcette Julius. And to demonstrate their commitment to equality, they combined their names. The publication sold 350 to 500 million copies. And if he did not think they sold well enough, first he would change the title to sex it up, I guess you could say. And if that didn't work, the book is gone. The books covered mainstream topics like how-to manuals, history, and advice, but they also discussed controversial issues. When the owners questioned FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, he retaliated by investigating them. Eventually, a federal court convicted Hold'em and Julius of tax evasion. Kind of like Alabama, they couldn't get him anywhere else, so they got the tax evasion. A month later, on July 31st, 1951, Emmanuel died in the city. Okay, well, that was kind of depressing. So we're going to throw ourselves up with round two of Kansas trivia now. So who is the first president of Kansas? Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, or Andrew Johnson? Lincoln visited Donovan, Atchison, and Leavenworth counties in 1859. So I feel a little bit misleading because he was obviously not president when he visited Lincoln, visited Kansas. But in Kansas, he tried out the themes of his speech that he would later take to New York City to his famous speech in the Cooper Union, and that helped propel him into the presidency. So Kansas was a good springboard for him, even though we actually voted for Seward in the nominating process. When did Kansas become a state? No, tell me the answer. January 29, 1861. January 29, 1865. January 19, 1859. Or January 9, 1867. President James Buchanan signed Kansas into law at January 29, 1861, because the Southern senators had left his defeat and there wasn't anybody blocking it anymore. Okay, so how many people got 10 right?
You made a point.
Okay, so how many people got 9 right? That's a Coronado expedition, Intermap, leading Kansas. Francisco has led the Coronado with Kansas around Liberal in 41. So we're older than we think. Man, I got ahead of myself. Which counties contain the road? Brown and Nemaha, Marshall and Potawatomi, Muncie and Osage, Lyon and Chase. So if you're lying, they'll chase you. The road to Oz, Highway 39, runs from Frankfort through Wamego and connects to Interstate 70. So that's Marshall and Potawatomi. Where is Walter Price's boyhood home? This is a little bit of a trick question. Blue Rapids, Ellis, Montezuma, and Wamego. Chrysler grew up in Ellis, and the city maintains the Chrysler boyhood home. However, he was born in Wamego. Now, does anybody get all 10? Missed 1. 2. 3. So that'd be 7. Get 7. Anybody get 7? 6. I feel like I'm back in the space race. 5. 4. You got 4? Anybody else get 4? Okay. Is between Clay Center and Abilene, off on a side road of a few miles. It actually sits on top of its own aquifer. And that water is some of the most delicious I've ever tasted. So I asked them if they would provide water for a drinking game. They said yes. So Melanie got a case of water, and I probably should eat it all. Especially if it's super cold, then it just goes down your throat, and it's like a soothing cloud. So what's up next? I'm working on a project called 34 Kansas Women. I'm very fond of Ad Astra. One of my favorite things about Kansas to the start is difficult. And 34 is the powerful Kansas number. When Buchanan finally signed us into statehood, we were the 34th state. So we were the 34th star. A very bright star, mind you. And Dwight Eisenhower was the 34th president, which I did not realize until late last year. So let's honor 34 noteworthy Kansas women. And when I get to that point, I will do my decision, obey my decisions, because I want to make sure that there's somebody in there. And I'm thinking it's going to be difficult that some of the people who makes the cut and who does not. I mean, Amelia Earhart, okay, that's a given. Nancy Landon Casaubon, the first woman who was not a spouse of her predecessor, who served in the Senate. Lynette Woodard, the all-time women's basketball scoring champion. Holly Van Beach, aviation pioneer. Marianne Kistler Beach, philanthropist. Susanna Medora Salter, first elected mayor of Argonia. They nominated her as a joke. Jokes on them. Maria DeGear, the only woman to found a Kansas town. She founded Scott City, and then they ran her out because she wanted to have a temperance town, no alcohol, and the men said, "Oh no, we're drinking." So she migrated to Sharon Springs and started the Western Times. Wyatt Connolly is in my book. She is the first Indigenous woman ever to argue a case before the Supreme Court. She lost the case, but eventually won. Developers wanted to dig up her ancestor cemetery. And the Connolly sisters literally camped out in that cemetery for years. They built Fort Connolly and camped out in that cemetery for years. And in between her job and defending the cemetery from developers, she went to law school and got her degree. And argued for the Supreme Court, and eventually became a national landmark, and it's still there. So the title is Connolly Sisters 1, Developers. Jackie Stiles, the NCAA, at least at the time she was NCAA champion, she may have been knocked off the pinnacle. I was fortunate enough to watch her last game in high school. Unfortunately, my team, Weston, won. But I'll never forget the sight of Jackie just weeping because what a fiery competitor she was. And I've had a chance to meet her in person since. And what a classy, kind lady she is. Hattie McDaniel. You've seen Gone with the Wind, you've seen Hattie McDaniel. She was the first African-American woman to win the Academy Award. Unfortunately, her Oscar got lost somewhere. Some people criticized her for always playing maids. She said better to play a maid and get $700 a week than to be a maid and get $7 an hour. Like, yeah. Linda Brown v. Board of Education, that kid. Harry Nation had an axe, gave the bar 40 bucks, and when she was done, she gave another 41. Georgia East Clark Gray. First female treasurer of the United States. You know, when you look at your dollar bills and it says, has a signature U.S. treasurer, well, her signature was one that was on it. And Melissa Etheridge is a famous Academy Grammy Award winning singer. So you can nominate a 34 project woman. I put up a website, 34kansas.com, and it's very basic right now because I don't have a list of women and all that stuff yet, but there is a form out there that you can nominate the Kansas woman. There's somebody that I don't know about, and you need to go there and nominate that woman. So do you have any questions?
Is there a time period for the woman?
There will be a time period. I haven't gotten that far in my thinking, but I'm thinking probably that by the end of this year, it's going to be cut off.
Okay, but is there a time period for the person who lived or done?
Oh, I see what you mean.
That too?
Well, obviously, it's Jackie Style and that Woodard are in there. But I want to avoid people who are really controversial, which kind of feels cowardly, but I don't want to deal with it. I mean, controversial like Carrie Nation, she's back far enough, and a lot of the stuff that Carrie Nation fought against is stuff that we now agree with. At that time, a lot of men, because most people who had a job were men, you would have to go to the saloon to pick up your check. And she was against that. Well, she should have been against that. Because I was wrong, because then they get all involved in drinking with their buddies, and when they got home, it was enough to feed them, pay the rent and feed the kids, both of them. And of course, it gave rise to domestic violence. So the Carrie Nation really was a heroine. He's a little strange. I appreciate somebody who stands 6 feet tall. Yeah. There's not too many of us. Any other questions?
How about Martina McBride?
That would be a one there from Sharon, Kansas, and you can't get smaller. I mean, if you read Ron Wilson's column, now that's rural. Sharon would be one of those that you would say, now that's rural. But there is a Martina McBride Park there, Sharon. We were there when we went to the Baker Kansas. Doesn't know what you can do with it. So I think of it as my never-ending story because I always have to tell lovely stories. I just don't have enough time to tell every story that I can tell. My website is roxieontheroad.com, and all my media handles are at Roxie on the Road. ROXIE on the ROAD. So this is the current book. These are the first two I wrote. And they're sitting right there. Next, we'll have Midwest State Park Adventures soon. The group that wrote the Midwest Road Trip Adventures was put together the State Park Adventure. I hurried up and got mine turned in on April 1st because I knew I was going to be out on the road and I was writing the book. And so I have an online store and roxieontheroad.com/shop. And beyond Midwest State Park Adventures, I will be researching historic Kansas roadsides, which will be my first coffee table book. Hardcover, like an amazing Kansas. Now I'm kind of thinking that historic Kansas roadside is going to be a lot about highways. One of the ones I know I'm going to do is the Jefferson Highway, which came into Kansas around Olathe and it's split. So one side goes down to Osawatomie and one side goes down Paola and then down out into Oklahoma. It was the first highway to run from Winnipeg, Manitoba, north to south, from Winnipeg, Manitoba to New Orleans. Then I learned at Fort Wallace Museum a little while ago that there was a trail, an Indian trail that ran from the Garden of the Gods around Pikes Peak in Colorado, all the way to the Hopewell culture along the Ohio River in southeastern Ohio. And I knew something about it because when I was in art scene, they talked about researching this book. They talked about the Black Dog Trail. There was a chief from the Osage tribe who was like 6'7" and named Black Dog, and they named it. The trail bears his name. But I did not realize that it ran all the way to the front range. So I think I'm going to be looking into that. Otherwise, I just need to sit down with my atlas and just map it all out. But that book talks a lot about things that maybe should be preserved but aren't. So how many of you have been to Elmdale in Case County? It is, yeah, you know that really funky grocery store they have there with a weird shape. I'm like, no, I think that should be there. Because you can't get stranger looking. Instead of the usual square or rectangle, it's kind of like, because the railroad kind of cuts off the lot, so it's built the first time I got but if it's the only place you can go, well, that's what you gotta do. So get rid of the St. Louis. Next book is Amazing Kansas. And I haven't figured out what the difference is between amazing and secret is, and I just got the book 2 weeks ago, and I haven't really had a chance to do that. But I'm thinking those are going to be a lot of the world's largest, whatever it is. There's at least 20 world's largest states in Kansas. Putting the world's largest hairball in the Benning County Historical Museum, and you can actually pet it. Yeah, that was kind of my opinion. I have a picture of Rhodey with that. It's about as big as Rhodey. The things you find.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is a question no tourism ever wants to be asked because somebody will be mad. What is your favorite attraction in Kansas?
The Rivery Bridge. The Rivery Bridge. Yes. So our northwest Kansas is good. Great.
Okay.
Up there, as my G photo, I'm not in Kansas anymore. It's like the thing is, I love this. Well, first thing that bubbles with is Kansas is flat. No, it's not. And besides, nobody knows about it, so there's then hardly anybody there. So you just get to just commune with nature. And the best time to go up there is about a month from when the apple is blooming and everything is green and it's just beautiful. Any other questions? So, and we thank you for your support. This is actually in North Dakota. My dad and I were on the trip, and we were in Roosevelt National Park. If you ever go, I don't have a chance when you go there. Basically, you do straight shot, almost a straight shot north. You got to go a little bit, like Holyoke, and then go straight up north, and you go up there. And these bison just plopped themselves right down. I couldn't have touched that one. But it's so stupid. And it's raining, and I'm crying tears of joy because, you know, that's just stuff just never happened. And I'm shooting this, I have my video camera in one hand and my camera camera in the other, and I'm talking about peer review. Science store. Sorry, greatest practice. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you. There's Scott and a clerk and a bag. Thank you to her. And, I'll go back with you. So why was here, did not charge us anything? Well, she's smart. Thank you very much.